This currency focus is proudly brought to you by TreasuryONE, South Africa's leading treasury solutions company that unlocks financial value for your business. Andre Cilliers is with TreasuryONE. Yo, what a day we've had in South Africa. It's almost like the 1970s again, where there's an eruption of violence. We're seeing not just pockets, but numerous shopping centers around the country being attacked. Andre, you're a specialist on currencies, and particularly when one has a look at the South African rand. Has there been much of an impact from what's emerging all over social media and now on the international channels as well?
Yes, certainly. If we just look at the reaction this morning, we opened this morning around the 25 levels very early in the morning, and we're now sitting around the 14.5 levels. Then that's simply, and on the dollar, there's not been that much movement. So this is purely South African market driven locally is where the weakening comes from. So, and what is happening? It can only be ascribed to looting, criminal activity, all in the name of defending somebody's honor, and the fact that he was sent to jail.
So what is the downside in all of this? In other words, if this were to continue, we have reports now from the government that the defense forces being deployed, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, where the looting and violence is continuing. If this were to continue or to indeed expand, how would that be viewed by those people who invest in currencies or trade currencies?
Well, first of all, investor confidence in the country will be severely negatively impacted. Everybody that was considering putting money into this country would think twice. Hot money that lies in the country, and I always call it hot money, lying in the bond market, those people would reconsider their position, because if you go into a period of weakening of the currency, then it's better for them to get out of their bonds, take their dollars and run as soon as possible. So even on that end, on that side, we could see a movement of funds, and that could have a negative impact on yields in the bond market. But moreover than this is the negative impact on the economy. If you look at the roads being blocked, you see how many trucks have been burned. That's millions, and very soon can be running into billions of rands. There's stoppages. So, it's not just the damage to property and the damage to the roads and infrastructure. It's the damage that it does to the imports and exports, because stuff cannot get to the harbor. It cannot get from the harbor back into, so shortages. It's a major effect that will spill over into various areas, and importers and exporters and companies and businesses will do worse. And that will impact, as I say, on the currency. And if that impacts on the currency, because of the currency weakening, then your imports becomes more expensive, fuel becomes more expensive, negative impact on interest rates, negative impact on inflation rates, closer to interest rate increases. I can carry on. Just a disastrous effect.
Complexity of a modern economy, I guess, is what is being highlighted here.
Well, I think complexities of a modern economy is highlighted, but I think what is highlighted more is the violent culture that persists in South Africa. And what's very, very important is that this is an attack on our judicial system, because you're sitting with an interesting one. Do you now pardon the man and say release him from jail? That's dangerous, because that involves your president can only pardon. That involves him in a role that he should not be involved in. If the Constitutional Court comes out and they say, okay, you know what, we've made a mistake, and or we rescind your decision and we change that, and you're free to go, then the independence of your judicial system comes under attack from criminals and looters. So what's the message that gets sent out to the investor community? What's the the word that gets sent out to consumers in South Africa? So I want to take this further than just the complexity of an economy.
Yeah, I guess the fact is, certainly all the feedback that we've had from people who are in the front line of this, it's got nothing to do with Jacob Zuma. Nobody is chanting his name. It's all about criminality. You don't attack a macro and burn it to the ground and steal, including with a forklift truck, big screen TVs, washing machines, etc., because you cross with some political issue. The feedback we're getting is that this is frustration from unemployment, and it's a lovely excuse to be used. And I guess from international communities having a look at South Africa, they have got to be asking themselves, I guess, is this going to be more of the same? Is this going to continue? Is this going to expand? Or will the South African government be able to get it under control? If you look at those two scenarios, what kind of impact might that have on the South African rand?
It will have a negative impact. It will have a positive impact if the government can get it under control very, very quickly. But by using the Defence Force, in my opinion, if you're going to start using the Defence Force, that you have to declare a state of emergency in certain areas, which is a very negative one. And I don't think it can be brought under control in a very, very short period of time. I don't think it's a day or two. I think this is going to last a little bit longer, and it will have a negative impact on the currency. And I foresee that we will change our trading ranges, most probably get close to breaching the 1450 level and the 14.50 level. And if that happens, 14.7, 14.75 is very, very easily on the cards. And as I said a little earlier, with negative impacts on, for instance, the fuel price, which at this point in time runs in quite a negative figure in terms of what should be collected at the pump to cover oil price and exchange rates. So if we have a further deterioration of the exchange rate, that will be further negative on the fuel price, negative impacts on the inflation rate, but certainly negative on the exchange rate.
Now, TreasuryONE advises many big clients, many big corporations in South Africa. What are you recommending to them today? I'm sure your phone has been ringing off the hook from companies or clients seeking advice in this chaotic time.
Well, in terms of our exporters, when the rand was down at the 1360 levels and the 1370 levels, we've advised most of them not to jump into the market and take massive amounts of forward cover. So with where the rand currently trades, it presents them with far better opportunities than they've had in the last month and a half or two to take some forward cover. And we certainly recommend that, even amidst this turmoil, that one should not forgo these opportunities that comes your way by locking in some of the much better rates that you can get now. And if you do it for 2 and 3 and 4 months forward, then you even get the forward points your favor in terms of the interest rate differentials between ourselves and America. In terms of our importers, we have advised them below the 14 levels, to take some forward cover. And if they did, then they would have been protected through this very quick and bad period. But even with everything going on and the fact that I said it could last a little bit longer than we expected, I would also recommend that our importers, if they have not taken cover, that they do look at some forward levels at these levels and take some forward cover to protect themselves for any further adverse movement. All over, we're in a very turbulent time, and there is products that you can take to hedge yourself against these negative movements.
So taking insurance against anything that could happen. It's
taking the forward cover, using one of the products that's available to yourself. There's many more advanced products that you can take. Is like taking out insurance. And if you take the insurance, then you are protected against the adverse movements.
Andre, thanks for the update. Let's hope that I'll keep asking this every week and hoping the next week we got some good news to give. Is there any green shoots, any bright light on a horizon?
I think there is, yes. I think if we look at Mr. Ramaphosa's speech last night and we listened to that, it was very good that he did address what is going on in the country. If I look at the COVID figures, then I think we are getting closer and might actually have turned on the peak in Gauteng already. And we have seen over the last couple of months that there is some green shoots on the economy. So if all works out according to plan, then I think there is still some positives that we can look forward to at this point in time.
This Currency Focus was proudly brought to you by TreasuryONE, South Africa's leading treasury solutions company that unlocks financial value for your business.